And now, to honor America, please join in the singing of our national anthem. Representing the three-time Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils, Arlette.
I feel like I'm at a game. Oh my gosh. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Sunday. This is the Let's Go Devils podcast, Season 6, Episode 9, as in 9-game winning streak, as in
What?
Niner, as in
Are you calling from a walkie-talkie?
like JCB architectural walkie-talkie. Yes. Yeah. As we're streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Let's Go Devils Network, coming to you live from the Primetime Radio Studios in 3 different locations in New Jersey. One is the Bunker, one is the Boonies, and one has a nice mountain view.
Listen, man, you can't give too much away.
No. We're on the top of the mountain. Like, we're in first place.
Yeah, look.
Get it?
Oh, yeah. Looking around.
Absolutely.
The air is clean up here. It smells mighty nice.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's start off with what an event that was yesterday at that game. And it started with the amazing podcast, meetup, the whole 9 yards, everything that happened at American Whiskey yesterday was incredible. But let me paint a little picture, okay?
Oh, go right ahead.
So
You are the artist.
I am an artist. So driving into Newark, it's funny because I come in off of 78, so I'm driving alongside the train going down Broad Street. And I look over at the train because I was in a little bit of traffic, and I see all these red jerseys in the train. And I started to smile. I'm like, okay. And I get down onto Broad Street, and I'm driving down, trying to make my way over to Lafayette. And every time I look over in the car next to me, and keep in mind, this is around like 5 o'clock-ish, there's every other car, somebody was wearing a Devils jersey. I get onto Lafayette. I go to pull into the parking lot, which is already full. get out of my car, walking across the street to make my way over to American Whiskey, and it felt like a playoff game. It had that same buzz around the arena. Now, first of all, something that happened yesterday, and a lot of people were complaining about some of the mishandles or miscues on the ice. What a lot of people don't understand is that Seton Hall had a game right before the Devils did, and Bruce Driver actually said it on the podcast yesterday. That they were pulling up the floor as he was walking over to join us on the podcast. They were just pulling up that floor, and that's rough to have to resurface that rough. Ice, get it ready for a game. That's rough.
Is that there a pun there? Rough.
A little bit, maybe segueing into something else later. So walk over to like where American Whiskey is. We're on that street with Championship Plaza, and it is loaded with people. I mean, yeah, you couldn't get into the stadium before 6 o'clock, which is a little unusual because normally they'll let you in before. But irregardless, it felt like everybody would have still been outside anyways because it was a nice night. People were out there drinking, laughing, smiling. Some people were smoking a Bungaje. I smelled it when I was walking through the streets.
Yes.
It's legal. I guess you could do that, whatever. But anyways, get into American Whiskey. It's packed. The Brat Pack has got his people in there. They're doing the $6 drafts, the Swedish shots. Which, by the way, somebody asked you for the recipe and you never got it, but that's okay. Maybe next time we go to American Whiskey, we can ask them what's in that. It's
Robitussin.
It's a little tussin. So it's good to get you drunk, and if you have a broken leg, you just dump a little on it and rub it in, and it'll be all good.
Yep.
But you go into American Whiskey, and it's just everybody's just vibing, feeling good. The crowd's energetic.
I was DJing.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
DJ
Dude, it was
Sammy
absolutely amazing. DJ Sam, he put bodies hit the floor. Like your playlist hasn't changed since I met you in like 2001 or 2000, whenever the hell it was. The early
okay.
2000s.
Well,
Your
everyone's like, wow, I haven't heard that song in a long time.
That's a good thing.
Unless they know you. They're like, oh, it's the same legitimate.
And all the millennials are like,
you need Scotty to like revamp your list there, bud. I'm not complaining. I love all the music, just saying. But anyways, long story short, it was just going into the arena. It was exciting and it's just buzzing. It's buzzing and it feels cool, man.
Yeah, I'm bummed out that I missed it. We get scheduled Saturday games once a season for my hockey league, and just happened to be that this past Saturday was the one Saturday. Yeah, and it's not like I can just say, yeah, I'm just not going to go, because it's so difficult to find a sub goalie on a Saturday, let alone a regular game.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to go.
Call Kyle Shapiro. I heard
at least we won.
Call Kyle Shapiro. Put him in. Although he was probably at the game yesterday.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, dude. It's just it has that old timey feeling of Devils hockey, and it's funny because you think about how long the Devils have been in a rock, and I was trying to think about this on our way home last night. Outside of 2012, and even really during 2012, have you ever felt the place feel like that, Sam? Have you ever been like at a game in the beginning of the year and had it feel like this, where it's like, and not just this game, like the last game, my buddy was at the game before where they won in overtime, and he said he hasn't heard the Rock that loud since they went on that playoff run in 2012. Not even the run with Taylor Hall. He was like, I haven't heard it that loud since 2012. I mean, it's just the team feels different. The arena feels different. Everything at this moment feels different.
I'll tell you the perfect storm that's happening right now. Number one, it's been a long time that this team has been good, right? Secondly, you add in the pandemic as well. It's been a while since we could go to a game and not have to really worry about anything. Like, you could just go. There's been so many things that have gone on the last couple of years. And the team, 8-game winning streak going into yesterday's game, coming out 9 in a row. It's just a perfect storm. 10 years of losing, except for that 1 year. And, there's a lot of pent-up excitement inside. And it doesn't surprise me.
Mm-hmm. Pent up excitement and
So there's actually probably a lot of Devils fans that are, aside from 2012, don't have very much memory of a good Devils team. Actually, in person. If you think about that, it's been 10 years since that 2012 season. So I'm curious how many Devils fans just only know, like the early 80s, late 80s, I guess early to mid 80s type Devils like we've been going through. And now all of a sudden we have this season. It's like, holy crap, this is like the late 90s, early 2000 teams. It's just, it's awesome to see.
Yeah, and you're getting, like everybody's contributing. That's what's great about the team right now. You don't need Jack to like stand on his head and score like 2-3 goals a game.
So I think yesterday they said the Devils have gotten goal scoring from 18 rostered players so far this season.
That's crazy.
Talk about spread out goal scoring. To have 18 different players scoring goals and contributing, and you're getting scoring from your forwards and your defensemen. I mean, Dougie Hamilton, two games in a row with just phenomenal,
just a laser
shots,
absolute
laser beams to the top shelf.
But and that's what they paid him to
like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's Dougie Hamilton. Like, this is what we were expecting last year when they brought him in.
Mm-hmm.
That the top defenseman in the free agency class, where everybody was expecting him to be the Dougie Hamilton that we're seeing right now. And it's nice because we were talking about this with Bruce Driver yesterday at American Whiskey, right across the street from the Prudential Center. And Chico Resch was bringing this up as well, is consistency. This team has to stay consistent. Right now, they're being consistent. They're not winning games constantly coming from behind, which Bruce Driver brought up a great point. He was like, last year they were winning in the beginning of the year, but they're always coming from behind. And he's like, and that's not a recipe for winning. That's a recipe for losing.
No,
Eventually
exactly.
you can't maintain that. They're being a consistent team where the top guys are playing like the top guys, but then you got guys that Thomas Tatar, this is like the Thomas Tatar revenge tour. And he's playing 10 billion times better than he did last year. And you have guys like Nico Hischier, who's, knock on wood, is staying healthy. And that's a huge thing because we've never really seen a full-time, healthy Nico Hischier in a while. So these guys are doing what they have to do, and it's looking good.
And the other thing too, in the last two games, well, really in the last week, since the Edmonton game, we've lost our two top goaltenders, and you had Akira Schmid come in late in the third for Vanacek, and not only make a couple saves in the third, but make some phenomenal saves in overtime in order to to secure a Devils win, and then continue that and to win his next game. So we're even getting just next man up goaltending, with Blackwood going down. Vanacek's took the reins, was doing well. He goes out. Akira Schmid comes in, and he takes the reins and just kind of keeps going with that too. So it's we're already at least three goalies used this season. Hopefully we don't get to 7. I'd be curious if Nico Dawes will get a game at some point. Bring us to 4 goalies used so far this season. As long as it doesn't get to that 7 or higher, I think we'll be okay. But even in the goaltending department, where it seems like we're just getting good goaltending from anyone who is in net right now, which I love. I was very impressed with Schmid when he came in. That's tough coming into a game in the third period like that after sitting there cold the entire game. That's really showing him and his mental mindset, being as the backup, and we luck out because usually by that point in the third, if you're backing up, you're like, and you're just like, yep, I'm not going in tonight. It's the midway through the third. What am I doing after the game? But he was able to turn it on right away, and then some of his doorstop saves in overtime were just unreal. Just like right there on the doorstep. It's like, what the hell? It was so good.
Yeah, and the good news is Vanacek is traveling with the team.
Yes.
So I feel like, maybe they ride Schmid for one more. And then if he's, if he plays all right, then you just ride him until VTech is 100%. But, Blackwood going on IR, unfortunately, is, a song that we've heard way too many times, just like Sam's playlist. So, so I mean, like it's not a good situation.
Was it really bad music?
No, it was good music. I'm just saying, I know you, and I know your playlist, and it's the same exact playlist that you go to every time. You did a great job.
Oh, okay.
You did a great job, but it's just it's like I can almost tell you what song is going to come up next, based on like what you have queued up right at that moment.
Notorious B.I.G.
Maybe you should. Maybe you should sprinkle a little. Yeah, maybe some old school Pac. Who knows? Some
All
gangster
right.
rap. Listen,
right.
we'll sit down. We'll have a conversation. We have to have a conversation about something else. About I forget what, but you're like, oh, we'll talk about that later. Maybe about the graphics. Who knows? Anyways,
let's talk about it now.
Let's talk about how you're not using the vector files that I'm sending you. Biggest pet peeve ever. No, I'm kidding. But the team right now with 9 wins in a row, the one thing that I was talking to Bruce Driver. I'm sorry to keep name dropping. I'm not meaning to do that, but like it was just like one of those times, like as we were talking, I'm like, that's a great point. That's a great point. That's a great point. He wasn't like sitting there boasting about the team. Like he was being very real about the team. And I thought that was great because a lot of times like we get into a 9-game winning streak and all of us feel it and we all put on the rose-colored glasses and we all want to just chill back and like let the good times go and you expect it to keep going and you name drop Bruce Driver like 100 times. Every time I do it, just take a shot. But he brought up a good point about, like I said before, the consistency of this team. But he said, it's early in the year and you just don't want to get into a point where all of this is for naught. Like you don't want to get into a slide at one point where you're losing 8 in a row or you're playing, poorly for a long stretch because all this that's going on right now, all this momentum, not just with the team, with the fan base, with everything, would be gone. Mm-hmm. It's very fragile and they have to, not get too ahead of themselves with it. But I feel like Lindy Ruff is keeping them on the straight and narrow.
I will say this, though, and I wrote this here, I'll name drop, on pucksandpitchforks.com earlier today, giving kudos to the Devils fans. The Fire Lindy chants, in my opinion, I thought that was tough love. It wasn't anything personal against Lindy. It was a message that needed to be sent to the entire organization that this being unprepared opening night at the arena was unacceptable. And they responded. It's great. They responded.
They did.
And they responded in a big way. And what's nice about this 9-game winning streak with this young team, they're getting an appetizer of what this fan base can really do because the entire time we've been starved of wins.
Well, so have they.
Well, yeah, but they're the ones on the ice.
They're the ones.
Granted.
Did we lose Shorts? Yeah. Oh, nope. Uh-oh. You just talk, Beer Baron.
No.
We'll compensate.
It's a solo show.
By the way, Shorts Guy's crappy internet is brought to you by the New York Rangers, Optimum.
I hate.
Yeah. See? And that's their season right now. About
crap.
Yeah, about to crap out.
Oh.
That's because they're trying to get Bedard, man. They're trying to figure out a way to get Bedard. So.
I hope not.
And the Bulls, I don't know how it magically it's the Rangers. Oh, like
I hope not.
Look who's talking though. We've had some pretty good
we have
lottery luck.
We've had some luck, but we've also gone through a
but we
lot of hell
earned
to
our
get
luck.
that luck.
We earned
Yeah,
our
we
luck.
sucked
Yeah.
bad.
Like the
We
Rangers,
really suck.
the
Oh, bag of
Rangers had
suck.
a guy with a remote control looking at, and then they dropped the ball early. I mean, come on.
Yeah,
I will.
it was a little
So
fishy.
the one thing that I'm interested in seeing is how this team is going to react when this streak comes to an end. Because unfortunately,
well, it depends
it will.
on how it ends.
Well, and that's really what I'm curious of how this team is going to react. What their first game back after this streak ends. Depending on how it ends, that really doesn't matter. It's that next game after the streak. How do they respond? How do they come out? And then how do they move on from there? So that'll be real telling. As much as I would love to see the streak go on till the end of the season, there's no way the streak is going to last. Until they're not going to win out the rest of the season. But seeing how they act and how the teams and
That internet is crapping out again. Sorry, Shorts guy.
damn it.
No, it's not your fault. We've already established it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Every time that happens, we just make fun of the Rangers.
But I'll pick up on what you're saying though. Is it depends on how this streak ends. I mean, if it will end, you're right. Hopefully it won't end for another 15 games. That'd be pretty sweet. But realistically, it's going to come to an end at some point. And when it does, it just depends on how they respond after it ends. Like if the team completely spirals out of control and loses, 3 or 4 straight, I don't think the fan base is going to be too happy about it. The sorry Lindy chants that you hear in the stadium might not be saying sorry anymore. They might be back to saying fire Lindy. So, but you know what that is? It's like, as happy as every Devils fan is, and I don't care who you are, you have to have that little voice in the back of your head saying that other shoe's got to be hanging by a thread, and you're just waiting for it to drop. And that's unfortunate because it's just how it's been. It's just how it's been for the fan base. It's been how it's been for us.
Yeah.
Watching a team play, and it's like, when is the next injury going to happen? And as all these things were going with the goaltenders, I think Nick Villano brought it up. Name drop. To well, Nick's a part of the family. It doesn't matter.
To Chico or Bruce?
Chico and Bruce. I think he brought it up to Chico Resch and Bruce at American Whiskey.
Okay.
During a live podcast before the game yesterday. But anyways, he brought up, is it time to panic with the goaltending injuries because they're already starting to happen? And that's that feeling that we all have. Like you have Blackwood goes on IR, Vanacek gets hurt. It doesn't seem like it's bad for Vanacek, but I mean, like, it's still like, oh, crap. Shorts guy, you made that joke, like, if Dawes gets in, that's the 4th goalie. That's not normal. You know what I mean? That's not a normal situation.
You're right. It's not. But so far, with the way that Schmid has played, it just seems like it's different than last year. You play worlds differently as a goaltender when you have a team in front of you that will not only get you goaltending, you play as a goalie much better when the team is in front of you that will not only get you scoring, but will also do all that it can to keep the puck out of the net and will not collapse. Mm-hmm. You play with a different confidence. And this team has that different confidence than last year, of which there was so much reliance on the goaltending and really no help in the back end. And they were collapsing. This team is not doing that. This is a totally different team. And, it makes all the difference in the world as a goaltender. And it's what we're going to see how this team really is. Let's say Dawes does get in. Let's say Dawes gets a win or two. Schmid gets another win or two. Then we know that this team is for real, that no matter who's in, whether it's in net or anywhere on the ice, that this team just has a system that's working. Is it going to last forever, which Schmid and Dawes? My hope is that Vanacek is back sooner rather than later, and then eventually we get Blackwood back. which Vanacek, like you said, is traveling with the team. They're Montreal, Toronto, and then I forget what that Ottawa is the third game. So we're doing that Eastern Canadian swing. My hope is Vanacek is back for maybe the Toronto game.
Well, our good friend Dave Singer over here on the YouTube side, the YouTube live, because remember, folks, we are live on YouTube, on Facebook,
live,
on Twitter,
live,
on Twitch, live. This is live. Anything can happen.
And
your internet
MySpace
can go down.
And MySpace.
And
yes.
MySpace. That's right. Tom brought back MySpace just for us.
Yes, he did.
So he said Vanacek will play on Tuesday. That's what Dave Singer said. Dave Singer also said, don't worry about name dropping Bruce Driver, because Bruce Driver's been name dropping the Beer Baron all day. He's been like, yo, that Beer Baron guy. He's a good guy. Chugging beers in the background while everybody's talking.
Last night, Bruce Driver texted me. Again, Bruce Driver texted me.
Name dropping.
Name dropping and texting you.
That he predicted that it was a 4-2 victory.
He did say it was going to be a 4-2, and then he busted my chops because I said 3-2, and he said, no, you can't see. 3-2 is like a cheap, not cheap.
Do you need to go? Do you want me to cover you?
Me? You talking to me?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
I thought there was something going on where you were looking and, you need to take care of.
No. That's just me having ADD. And I just look around. I constantly, dude, I look around you never notice how much I fidget around? Like I'm drinking water tonight.
No, I do it all the time too.
Yeah, I'm
constantly
fidgeting or itching something. Or
usually when I look away from the camera, it's I'm trying to stop that spammer in the YouTube live chat that's been just putting up all these bogus links.
Wait, Supernova just said, do you think they have a chance of annexing Eastern Canada? And more than likely.
He said Canada.
Canada. Oh, Canada. Sorry. That's pretty funny.
Canada.
Yeah, if I'm looking down, I'm trying to look at what people are saying. I also see that 69mega.com want to find love. Our AI will help.
Wow.
It's in the feed.
Hey.
It's in the feed.
Yeah, either that or if you're single.
Mega is a Rangers fan.
A very nice Dave Singer.
Thank you, Dave. Very good.
Probably that's
true
funny.
Too. Stupid AI bots. But anyways, going back to the conversation, I think that this 3-game road trip, it's going to be interesting because remember when they went to Western Canada and everybody kind of had that all right, if they can win 1 of 2 or 1 of 3, they'll be in good shape. If they split with the Calgary, when they come home, they'll be in good. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. But now it's you're getting to a point where you're expecting them to win, and that's dangerous territory. And going back to what you said before, Shorts Guy, about being, how will fans react? Disappointment if they lose 2 out of 3 going into Eastern Canada, but I don't foresee that happening just because they're not, like I said before, they're not winning in these flashy ways. They're winning in every kind of way you can think of. Winning in overtime. They haven't gone to a shootout, thank God, because I hate shootouts. But they're winning in every way that you can imagine.
They're one of the league leaders in regulation wins, which is
and they're just
a sign that this is probably a good team, and they're outshooting their opponents on most nights. And
the outshooting has been a season-long thing. I mean, the first 2 games we had 40-plus shots, so it's good to see that's continuing.
What is their average? Do you know what their average is off the top of your head, Sam, or with your computer that you can look it up and make it look like you knew it off the top of your head?
What's that? Their shots?
Yeah, 40 shots.
I talked to Bruce Driver. He said it's around 45.
He does know a lot. That Bruce Driver is a very smart man.
That's quite a bit. And it's quite a bit.
And their average, the average shots on goal against, I think, is 24. Although the last couple games they've let up more shots on goal than they have all season, but for a while it was only 21 or 20 around that area. So I mean, defensively, they're blocking a lot of shots, and that was something, Shorts Guy, you talked about before too, trusting your defensemen And
Yeah.
you feel bad because that first goal that was scored in the game last night against Schmid was Siegenthaler dropped down to block a shot, and it just kind of like weaseled its way through him and, snuck by Schmid because he wasn't expecting it. And you feel bad for Siegenthaler because he's, he doesn't want that to happen. And it was kind of like, oh man, here we go again, one of those moments. But they don't seem to let things phase them anymore. It's not like Severson put one off his butt again, and now we're gonna just collapse and just fall apart.
Yeah, and that's a big mindset shift, to where they can have one of those goals go in, and they can just kind of power through it and just move on. And it's when you're playing with confidence, it just sometimes that stuff just happens. You can ask little Steve from Hockey Untapped. I think he has some of the most goals scored against me by a defenseman on my team. They just, for some reason, when him and I play together, it goes off of him and it somehow finds its way in the net. And we just kind of look at each other like, oh, again, that sucks. But, sometimes that stuff just happens. And the mindset of this team is just so much better than last year, where you're right. Maybe last year would have been like, oh, great, here we go again. But this year, this team has fight to continue moving on, which is really what I love so much about this team, is that whole culture shift. Whether it was something finally is clicking with them that Rupp has been doing, the veterans that have come in, the goaltending, confidence, and who knows. Either way, this team has really stepped up to change that mindset, and those goals are going to happen. It's the name of the game. It's just the way the game goes. I can tell you that for a fact.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a matter of how you react to it, and I think they're reacting differently now. If you get into a string of bad puck luck, that's totally different. But the key thing is to keep working hard, and I think that's what they're doing. They're working hard. They're working hard. They're not giving up, and that has a lot to do with it.
Was it the Ottawa game, or was it the Calgary game where they had 2 goals called off? Like pretty close to each other too. I can't remember, but anyways, that was a game that brings up a great point, because that's another game or another instance that maybe in the past that would have deflated the team and they would have completely shut down. It's so funny to me how. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, let's not forget we have different assistant coaches or associate coaches behind the bench too. So that motivating voice could be completely different from last year, and the voice could be a motivating voice versus a non. That maybe they were just tuning out at a certain point, or just the personality wasn't there to keep them going. So that is altogether a possibility as well.
Just crazy, man. Just like you said, maybe it's some of the newer voices behind the bench. Sergei Brylin came in and he's just like, hey, I know how to win. I did it a lot, and I'm going to show you how to win here. It could be that. It could be just like the infusion of new voices in the bench. Andre Palat apparently still hangs around the team like every day. So it's not like he got hurt and he was like, I'm going to go sit in a box and boo-hoo myself and peace out.
Go on vacation.
And go on vacation because I don't want to be here. He's still very present with the team and always around and always making sure that
that's a leader.
That's a leader. And it's got to feel good for him too, because you see a guy that he came from a team that's, going to the Stanley Cup Finals every year, has won a couple of cups, and was playing with the likes of some of the best in the league, and he comes to a team that's still trying to figure themselves out, and he gets knocked out, and he's like, well, now I can't even contribute to try to make this team better. And the team just continues to grow and get better and better. That's got to be cool, because he's got to be like, oh, now I could just step in and it would be great.
See, but what that's showing me too is that they signed him not just for his playing skill, but for his leadership abilities too, and that he's still exerting those leadership skills that you can do off the ice while he's rehabbing and coming back from injury. So there must have been a lot. There must have been more to him than just his on ice play and his on ice production. But they must have looked at him and said, this is the type of player that we're going to need in the room, along with on the ice with these guys. And it also has shown that he realizes that part of why he's here is probably that veteran leadership, and he's taken that role and he's just running with it, which is that to me is a world's different type of mindset than from last season. There's got to be something that he sees that we don't see in behind the closed doors of the locker room that's making it worth him being there while he's injured, which is huge, and that's going to help these young players get better. It's going to help the good players turn into great players. And just like you said, when he's ready to come back in, he just steps right in like he's not missed a beat. That voice will be there like it's been over this whole time that he was out injured, and it makes his transition back that much better. And this could also be a product of something he also learned while down in Tampa. This could have been just what happened in Tampa if a guy got hurt, the guy was still happened to be around and was still making sure that they were part of this team. To me, that's just what a winning team should do, is that everyone should be there. So this could be a holdover from Tampa too, that maybe potentially they were not expecting him to do. Which kind of flies in against what I just said, but either way, having him there and having him still being a voice in the room is phenomenal.
Yeah, and Joseph on YouTube Live just mentioned Tatar fits this team, and our good friend David Singer agrees, and it's true. Players like Tatar, players like Palat fit this team in the right way, and I feel like when he comes back, and whenever that is, he's going to step in and be able to contribute pretty quickly, because he's built in it'll be fine. It'll be fine. That's what I'm getting to. It'll be fine. But I have a question, and I know this is early. This is really, really early. If the Devils are still in the same place that they're in, approaching the trade deadline, you have to think that they're going to be a buyer, right? You have to think that they're going to make a move to try to get Jack some scoring, like a scoring winger, or there's going to be, a move for somebody that's going to be a legitimate threat offensively. Defensively, I feel like they're in a good place, and you might even be able to take a piece. And listen, I know Sam's going to perk up and be really happy to hear what I'm about to say. Maybe you could take Severson and package him up with something else, and go out and get a scoring winger like a Nylander or somebody like that. And the reason why I bring up Severson is because you have a lot of right-handed defensemen in the system right now that could possibly come in and fill in that third pairing. He's no longer on the top pair, so you're not going to be messing with your top pair anymore. He's no longer going to be like the guy that you need a ton of minutes, so you could have a Riley Walsh possibly come in, or if Simone Nemec is in a good place where you feel comfortable to bring him up. Not saying that those are the things they should do. I'm just saying that these could be possibilities.
Those things they could do.
Could do.
I think Severson's going to be gone.
You think they would sign Graves over Severson, because the two of them are the two that are up for contract renewals. So there are UFA defensemen, and they're kind of like almost in very similar circumstances, don't you think?
But you hit it right on the head, though, Beer Baron. That right now, it's I would like to say that Severson, there may not be any room for him in the future, and while he still has trade value, it's not a bad thing to start exploring that possibility.
Not saying that we want him to be traded, by the way. It's just
he
holds a lot of value. He does hold a lot of value, and it could be that's a piece that you have Luke Hughes coming up. You have Nemec coming up. You have a lot of people that are going to be waiting to take that spot. And by the way, somebody like with the talent of a Luke Hughes or a Simone Nemec, like you don't just say, you guys could go sit in the AHL for another 4 or 5 years and mature. Like these are guys that you're going to want to try to break in sooner than later. And yes, you don't want to mess with the chemistry of the team, but at the same time, if you could use that piece to go out and get you what I feel like this team is missing is that true top-tier sniper. You're going to have to put together a package. It's not going to be one for one. Severson for like somebody, crazy out there.
Well,
but
Severson's not wearing the A anymore, right? He's not wearing the A, is he? It was Palat. I think he took the A. Jack Hughes has the A. Obviously,
Hughes is a permanent A. I think Dougie's got the A, but I feel like they rotate the other A. I've seen Wood have the A.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
Severson's almost expendable at this point unless there's a major catastrophic injury. That would keep him on the team. Because if you're looking at the economics here, guys, if Severson re-signs, that's going to be an albatross of a contract.
Mm-hmm.
While you have all these young kids in the system that can easily...
Yeah, because you don't need them. You don't need a 5 to 6 year contract with them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't need
it's
to have that.
It's nothing personal to Damon. It's just strictly economics of the cap era. I mean, unfortunately, that's the way it's the CBA is structured. So...
Unless he sees a huge upside to this team and takes a discount to stay just to try to win. But that would be his prerogative.
That'd be one hell of a discount, though.
Yeah,
it would be
league minimum.
Hey, just saying anything's possible. Not that I'm expecting him to do it, but if we wind up getting close and he wants to stay and potentially see that win in 2 to 3 years.
Beer Baron, to answer your question,
possible.
I think that he could be gone either way, whether the Devils are buyers or sellers at the deadline.
Well, if they're sellers, that means they're going to try to get probably some draft picks or something like that in return for him. But I feel like if they're buyers, they're going to try to actually get what can you help with me now?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like and this is the thing, when Taylor Hall was here, and we've had this discussion before, where the team started to mortgage itself to try to win and build something around Taylor Hall, and it wasn't working out because they couldn't get the right pieces to do it, right? They go out and they get Gusev, they get Subban, they do all these things, and they're trying to figure it out, and it didn't work out, and that's just kind of how it is. Set them back. They had to kind of tool, but I feel like Fitz has put together a roster that not only is competitive in the future, but is really competitive right now. And I mean, this team is starting to believe in itself, and these kids are Jack Hughes is 21, Nico Heischer's 22. They're not kids anymore. I mean, they're kids to us because we could be their dads if we were crazy in high school.
But they're just hitting their prime. You're right. They're not kids, but they're just coming into their prime, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So that's even better. I mean, that's even better to be hitting these type of strides coming into their prime. That means that they're if this team keeps going in this trajectory, their prime years will be spent on a highly competitive team that has a chance game in, game out, and potentially year in, year out to win it all. And that's what I would prefer to see. And that's hopefully the trajectory we're going to.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. They're not kids, but man, I'd much rather be in this situation with them coming into their prime years than after.
Joseph said Taylor Hall can come back now as the third liner. Even if he wanted to, I really wouldn't. I wouldn't want him.
I wouldn't.
Like it didn't end well. It was just it wasn't fun. It's just like the Giants. Yeah. Like not to make a parallel to the NFL, but the Giants.
Not like we do that on this podcast, by the way.
We do once in a while, but like it's fun to compare to other sports because there's in sports across the board, all of us know like there's very similar circumstances and things like that. The New York Giants traded away Kadarius Toney, who was a receiver for the team. And Kadarius Toney goes to the Kansas City Chiefs and scores a touchdown today. The dude who was had a hamstring issue all year, couldn't get on the field, both of his hands. It went from one hamstring to the other. It must spread whatever he had, and he gets traded. And then all of a sudden, it was like boom, like somebody,
like Forrest Gump getting off the
completely
braces.
healed him. Yeah, put their hand on his head and did the crazy dance, and then all of a sudden, you're healed. But that was like the feeling with Hall. Like he was hurt and he didn't really feel like wanting to play. Didn't feel like he wanted to be here from like the beginning. It just now it just these guys seem like they want to be here. All of them are saying the right thing. And even in the beginning of the year, before the season started, Tatar was like, I was pissed off last year because how I played. Like this year I'm coming back on a mission. Everybody's saying the right things. So I feel like they're in a good place.
What about Miles Wood? I mean, that guy.
Since the start of the season,
brought the energy. He got pissed off after the first game, and then he walked back.
That's how he was before he got hurt, before his hip.
Yeah,
that's how he was, and that's who he was. Dude, he was becoming a monster before he hurt his hip, and that the impact line, as they call it now, was at one point our best line. Yeah.
Chico doesn't like the BMW. He doesn't like it. He said that on the podcast with Bruce next to him.
He must be a Mercedes guy.
Maybe he's a Ford guy. Maybe he's a Chevy guy. Maybe he's
could be a Toyota
Lincoln
guy.
Continental, Cadillac.
What does Chico drive?
We'll just start naming cars. It's getting towards the end of the podcast.
Yeah, this is usually where it really goes off the rails.
Yeah.
Chico driving a hybrid.
Chico doesn't understand the complex math of beefaletics. That's a good one. He almost killed me on that one. Yeah, dude, a winning team. It just. I said this on the podcast yesterday. Shorts guy, I'm in the middle of Disney World. And I'm walking around wearing his hat, and the amount of people that would be like, "Yeah, let's go Devils!" Like I mean, it is Jersey Week, like down there during Teacher Convention Week. It's usually like when
Teacher
everybody from Jersey goes there. Yeah, but the amount of people that would just like stop me and be like, "Yeah, dude!" Like 7 games straight or 6 games straight at the time. And I turned to my wife and I was like, "This is so crazy to me," because last year. I would have been wearing his hat and somebody would have been like, the Devils suck. And I've been like, I'm in the happiest place in the world. Leave me alone. I know they suck at the time, but it's just winning. It feels so good for everybody. And you can see it on the ice and outside of the ice. So. Yeah,
it's weird. It's almost like with all that we've gone through in the years on this podcast, sometimes it's like, we don't really know how to talk about winning. We've
kind of
learned how to talk about so much. Yeah, we've forgotten. We've totally forgotten what it's like to talk about winning, because the last the last 5 years we've talked so much about everything but. And now that we're winning, it's kind of like, all right, this is great, but it's like almost like you're waiting for the other shoe to drop at a point, because just what we've gone through the last couple of years. But it is just nice to see this pop that this team has. You go around and it's the Rangers aren't doing well. The Islanders are, I feel like, very in a sneaky way doing well.
It's hanging around.
I was there. They're hanging around. I mean, they lost 2-0. I mean, there was an empty net goal. So really it was 1-0. They lost 1-0 to the same Arizona team that we beat. That Arizona team is not a terrible team. The Islanders had some trouble with them, and we're able to get the win yesterday. But it's nice to have that pop and that air to where when you wear the logo, that people are happy to see it. It's almost like the last couple of years when you wearing the logo, everyone was like, "Oh, this team," like you're wearing it like an albatross. Because as much as you love the team,
like
it's just so hard to
scarlet letter,
like a scarlet letter. Yeah, pretty much. It was it became so difficult at times. But now it's like, this is great. Like it's really reminiscent of was the mid to late 90s, early 2000s, when the Devils were just the top of the world. And everything was, we were a perennial playoff team, and we won. I forget how long that streak was that we just beat the Rangers every single frickin' time.
Oh, it's the best.
That was great, especially because my cousin was my cousin was still with her ex-husband, and he was a Ranger fan, and it was fantastic to see him. It's like, yep, we beat you again. We beat you again.
It's crazy because in the Metropolitan right now, the Devils sit at top of the Metropolitan with 24 points. The Islanders are right behind them, like you said, very sneakily, because it doesn't feel like they have the flash and glam like the Rangers do. They're at 20 points, so it's not like they're that far behind. And then the Rangers and the Hurricanes are sitting at 19 points. The Rangers beat up on the Coyotes today. I think 5-1. What was it? 4-1. But then the Stars smoked the Flyers. Holy cow, 5-1. Yeah,
and that's a team that and the Flyers at the beginning of the season, they looked like they were going to be that surprise team coming out of our division. With some of their early results, that opener against us and a couple others, but they have seemed to come way back down to earth, like we were all expecting that crap show to be, and some of the Torts quotes are starting to get pretty good. So,
oh yeah, when they start losing, it's going to get real good.
Oh yeah.
Well, even in the NHL standings right now are Boston at 28 points. Boston's 14-2.
That's another team that everyone thought was going to be at the bottom. So really, we're seeing a lot of teams that a lot of the at least as of right now.
Oh my God!
There's still
they're
long bit to go.
30.
There are a lot of teams that are in positions that no one thought that they would be in all of the preseason discussions.
Yeah,
LA. So this is just Seattle, Boston.
Seattle's hanging up there. Vegas. Well, Vegas got Jack Eichel back. Let's be real. Like that's a big addition.
Because they had such questions with their goaltending. They had such questions with their goaltending that it was just no one really thought that they were going to do much of anything.
Yeah, and it's right now it's Boston at top, Vegas right behind them at 26 points, the Devils at 24, LA at 21. Listen, I know it's early in the year, but looking at the Devils being 12-3, it's pretty nice after 15 games. They just got to keep the momentum going. Hopefully, they can get a couple games in this Eastern Canadian this Eastern Canadian trip, and maybe take 2 or 3. I do feel like you're right about something before that streak. Unfortunately, is probably it's got to come to an end at some point. We don't want it to, but I mean, it's just kind of inevitable. So.
Yeah, we're not trying to be negative by saying that. It's just that's the reality of it all. Is they're not going to go undefeated the rest of the season. It's just the big thing for me with this streak, like I said earlier, is how they react the next game. Mm-hmm. And we could see that this week. It could easily be the Montreal, the Toronto, or the Ottawa game. For some reason, I just have this feeling that it could potentially be the Ottawa game because they played us really good the other night. And that game was a little tough for us. So I could see that being that potentially being the game, because if the Devils go into to Toronto and they get up early, that crowd is so unhappy already with the team that's in second place. They can turn on their team in a heartbeat and just make that game just an easy victory for the Devils, just by their reactions to everything that Toronto is doing. The Montreal game, I think it can be a toss-up. They should be able to go in there with Toronto. Did I say Toronto? But the Montreal, I think I said Montreal. That Montreal game, like they should go into the Montreal game, and they should be able to beat that team that's lower than them in the standings. So we'll see.
And you know what, that brings up a great point too. First of all, Dennis on the YouTube live chat said that. Just hope the streak is double digits. I agree. I hope, I think the record is 14, I believe, is the record.
I think. 13
Is it
might
13?
be the record.
I thought it was 14 when they won 14 straight going into the playoffs.
It might be. I'm not sure. I was looking at they had the graphic up the other day, and for some reason I thought 13. But someone out there in the Facebook Live group must know for sure what that number is.
Yeah, Joseph is saying it's 13. I remember it being, or Supernova says it's 13 as well. Yeah, so I mean, it'd be cool if they got to if they got to 15. They got to 15, straight. That'd be pretty wild. They're going to have to play some pretty close games. In 2001, wasn't that the end of the year? Supernova, fill me in. Was that the end of the year? I feel like they ended the year on that streak and then went into the playoffs, like red hot. But anyways, yeah, I would like to see them continue it, but like you said, if and when they do lose a game, how do they bounce back in the game after? Because if you lose one and then you come back and you win the next three, okay, then you're good, you're fine. And if doubt starts creeping in, then that's where you can find yourself getting in trouble. If you lose 2 in a row, 3 in a row, you could erase a good stretch really quickly.
And please, if they do it at home, if the streak ends at home, don't boo the team. Don't boo the team if this streak ends at home. That would be the worst thing you can do.
Ugh, even if it's like a 6-2 thumping, like, just please don't boo. Like, don't boo. Yeah. Just enjoy the moment, please. Stay positive. You could see the team. The team has been talking about it too, like how much they've been thriving off of this. The Brat Pack. I got to tell you, for what it is, he got this huge event together. They sold 200 tickets. It was awesome. Which, by the way, I saw him at the podcast as well. They were doing a promotion at American Whiskey, or he was doing a promotion with American Whiskey as well. It was awesome to meet him again or see him again. And after the game, the 200 fans that were in the Brat Pack got to go down onto the ice level. Jesper Bratt came out. Got to see the whole Brat Pack crew. I'm getting tongue tied. And it's just late. Bringing he is through Twitter bringing such an excitement to the fan base, which is awesome. But the players are noticing all this stuff. The players are talking about the arena. Lindy Ruff is talking about, the Rock is rocking, and he's hearing the chants of "I'm sorry" and like, we'll sit around and have a beer and have a good laugh about it. We're making a difference in that arena. Like when the fans are there and you're vocal and you're loud, you're making a difference. We have to stay positive.
Yeah. Yeah. If we're going to make it through the season, and if this, if we're going to continue to win, we got to be there doing our part in the arena along with the team doing their part, which we're not used to, but here we have it. So we got to keep it up.
We got to get Lindy over to American Whiskey and have a beer with us on the podcast. We got to figure out a way how to do that. Twist some arms.
Maybe during the All-Star break. Maybe during if he's not coaching the All-Star team.
Maybe.
How do they figure that out? How do they figure out the coaches for the All-Star team? I forget. Is it whoever is leading?
It changes.
Or is it like whoever was in the Stanley Cup last year?
I thought it was whoever was leading in the divisions at the time. Something like that. They pick assistants that way. I don't know. It's Sam's right. It just changes all the time.
Then it says Bastion mentioned Brat Pack post game, but also Chico mentioned us on post game as well.
Yeah, I mean they're talking about it on MSG.
Yeah,
they're talking about the Brat Pack on MSG. They're talking about them, like MSG did a nice post on Twitter, and rightfully so, man. It's awesome. Yep. And this is what you want. Like, this is what you want. You want the fan base to be energized. You want everybody to be pumped up. You want everybody to have a good time. And if they can continue doing what they're doing, I know the Brat Pack is talking about doing like another event. I think in February something or other.
25th.
I think he posted it on Twitter on February 26th or something like that. 25th, 26th.
25th. 25th.
So like they're gonna do a whole nother like meetup and have a whole nother like group sale of tickets and all that kind of stuff. This is awesome. The Devils are starting to listen. They're starting to key into the fans. Maybe sooner or later they'll let us do a live podcast from inside the stadium.
That would be wild.
I mean, hey, crazier things have happened, and this year is starting to
It's
show
true.
that people are listening, and they're starting to listen to the fans, and everybody's making their voices be heard in the right way. So you just got to keep it going.
Well said.
Well, I just
That was a nice final thought.
David Singer says
That is a
combined
great
forces again. Yeah, that's a good final thought, I guess. Yeah, it is 10-12.
All right, well, we should probably get to our final thoughts. It's about that time.
I don't know if Beer Baron can give a better final thought than he just did. Randomly.
Give him 2 minutes.
Randomly.
He'll figure it out.
Yeah, my brain
He'll paint
will
the final
circle
thought.
around. And I'll hold it up and I'll be like, "In this, it's abstract. Don't judge."
Seriously.
You want to go first?
I can go first. Final thought is I'm just enjoying this ride of this winning streak. It's going to be a tough week away, Montreal, Toronto, then Ottawa. I'm just going to ride the wave and go with it and support this team. It's going to come to an end. It could be this week, could be next week, but let's enjoy these games and see what this team can do.
Yeah, I want to say just a huge thank you to all of our fans out there. Everybody that we've been meeting live at the American Whiskey events, and everybody that joins us live on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Like, we see all your comments and we appreciate it. We try our best to try to get to as many as we can. But we do appreciate all of you. We appreciate the support, and we appreciate seeing you guys live. It's even more fun when we see you live because it's cool to put a face to a name.
Yep.
We get to talk about Beefletics in person. A face to a handle, yeah. But we appreciate all of you out there, and let's just keep the good times rolling, man.
Shorts guy?
Oh, he already did.
I gave mine.
Oh,
That's
you already
you.
did? Oh.
Yeah.
Your turn.
I'm still staring at these brownies.
I was going to say you were eating brownies before. Are you sure are they brownies or are they brownies?
Brownies.
I don't think they have any sugar. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, yes.
They're
The sugar has been replaced by something else.
Yes.
Yeah. They taste a little bitter, but man, do I feel good.
Well, we last night we met a lot of people. It's when I'm taking selfies with strangers, but you're not really a stranger. You're a follower of the podcast. It's surreal. It's interesting because we read the comments, we talk Devils hockey, and it's only fitting that tonight Scotty has internet issues, and it's like the three amigos, the three Devils fans at a bar, the original three are talking Devils hockey, and then just doing it in the corner of the bar last night, just looking at the crowd, watching, chanting, listening to my old playlist from 2004. It was really. Now I'm self-conscious. Now, Beer,
you should be.
It's like, oh, should I play Metallica or not? Anyway, it was just awesome. It was just a chill time, no drama, nothing. It was just Devils have fun, and we even watched the game. Nick and I, with another guy named Nick, the follower of the podcast. And Rhodey's asking, how did you guys meet? Well, Beer Baron and I met online.
In a chat group? No.
Yeah, on the 69 mega
I was
chat group.
What do you think? They're a sponsor now?
Yeah.
No, I met you.
mega.
I was looking for a job with the Devils to do like graphic stuff, like graphic design, blah, blah, blah. And I thought you could lead me in that direction, and I was wrong, but it led to a friendship and to this podcast.
I thought you really liked my blog on hockeybuzz.com. I thought that's what it was.
I did. No, yeah.
Oh,
No,
okay.
that's how I got in contact with you. I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. I bet he's going to talk about Lindy Ruff one day being the Devils head coach.
And then Shorts Guy and I met hockey
Through
at
the rink.
At the
Yeah,
rink.
through the rink. Because I
At
got
the
to
rink.
know Hans when I got out of college. I started working and playing at the rink pretty much full time.
That's when I
and-
scored that goal, but I don't want to bring that up because it seems like everybody brings up the goal that they scored against you.
Well, hey,
It happens.
it
You can get
it's
lucky.
not my fault. I
Yeah.
mean, I sort of take that as a compliment that one of your greatest achievements is putting one by me, because that just
Yeah.
shows that
Actually-
how rare that occasion is.
Actually, I think what happened was, I think I fell and I swiped at it, but your D guy didn't really do much. I think he screened you, and then I remember I didn't even see the puck go in. I remember Fat Mike, who was on my team, was like, "Sammy, did it go in? Did it go in? It went in! Oh my God!" That's
And
how
that was- and that
Fat
was
Mike.
that was the
I swear
lockout
to
here
God.
too.
Yeah, that poor bastard. I don't even know what you're talking about. You refer to him as Fat Mike, and then you give him the most atrocious voice. You're like,
No, because he
No,
really has
that's-
that type of
yeah,
voice.
He really has
That's
that
really
voice.
the type of voice he
Lord.
has.
Hi,
Yeah.
I'm Fat Mike. How are you? I'll fix your cell phone for you. $9.99.
oh Lord.
No, he
You want
really
a
had
car
that type of
stereo?
voice.
I'll put a car stereo in for you. I'll even put new leather in your car.
All right. You're gonna turn people away with that voice.
Yeah, and then I got tickets with you guys once the lockout ended.
Yeah.
We lost
Oh,
that
by the
season.
way, Shorts Guy, we'll have to talk off air. One of your former students interrupted me during the live podcast yesterday, and and then I tried to apologize to him because I was "Wah," But we'll talk about that later.
All right, sounds
Dave
good to
Singer
me.
says Fat Mike. No, Fat Mike is spelled F-A-T-T, not F-A-T. Anyway, again, I want to thank all those watching, listening. Going to drop the podcast at midnight for your morning commute. We see the downloads. We're in record territory.
Record territory. Yeah.
Again. And
Smashing.
Thank you.
Smashing right
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
now.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. If you're listening to this right now and you're driving to work, I hope you have an awesome day.
yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
10-2 on the steering wheel. Watch out for the deer. It's the zoo out there in New Jersey. Deer, squirrels, turtles.
There.
That sounded like such a morning commute. Be careful out there on the roads. 10-2, everyone. It is a zoo out in New Jersey. It is 10:19 here on the Let's Go Devils podcast, and we are going to be wrapping it up. Going over to our WWKYA 1010 radio top 10 list coming up. We're going back to 2004 with DJ Sam Wu.
Yeah, and phone scams next here on the Let's Go Devils Network. Till next time, let's go Devils.